Liverpool have beaten Crystal Palace 1-0 at Selhurst Park on Saturday night Australian time in a game that felt a lot nervier while watching it than I think it is once you replay it. At the time, as a fan, your heart is just racing for as Palace made the onslaught late, as they really need to push and try and get at least a draw in the game, given they've had such a poor start. And yeah, as a fan, I think we can sometimes get caught up a little too much on the opposition chances. We think every chance just means Liverpool have lost control of the game. We don't know how to react. We just feel so tense all the time. I think it just, once you rewatch it, knowing Liverpool got through, you can kind of see that the players were never really that concerned. There was the one big chance when Eze was through and one-on-one, and he kind of scuffs his lines and kicks it straight at Yaros, who made a good save when he came on after Alisson went out injured. And I think that's the only, from memory, that's the only real clear-cut chance they had. Other than that, it was a lot of kind of just having either pot shots or kind of just general play in the area. You could tell Liverpool struggled to get out a bit, but when you rewatch it, it just wasn't actually as nervy as it seems in the time. And one thing that definitely didn't help is the offside goal early, I think, gave the impression that Palace were a lot more onto it than they actually were. I thought Liverpool were really comfortable for the most part in that first half. It was that offside goal, and when the commentators continuously, you saw it under Klopp a lot, Liverpool would concede a lot of offside chances, and constantly it would be a Liverpool player high line, they're getting caught out, this is dangerous, but they're all offside chances. In this goal, the player's several yards offside, it's clear cut, it's not close, like it's not a contentious one by any means, and the commentators just repeatedly going, but if it wasn't for the offside goal, as if that's a negative to Liverpool. Those Liverpool defenders are going, like Van Dijk and Kanate, going, yep, he was offside, did our job, exactly what we needed to do, that's what we planned on, move on. They're not giving a shit that he put the ball in the back of their net. Why would they? He was offside, it was illegal. If he punched it in, no one would have cared, it would have been the same thing. So I think fans, we can get caught up in that, and the commentators and pundits definitely make it worse by bringing up those offside goals. But ultimately, it was a good, solid win they did what they needed to do. They got to the international break, they're top of the table, it's all cheering at this stage. And I think it's just, that's what it was about this game. It was trying to not get any injuries, and unfortunately there were two, with McAllister and Alisson going down. Hopefully McAllister's not too long. I haven't seen anything about the time frame he's expected to be out. It seems as though, I believe it was a groin injury. Hopefully he kind of just can rest over the international break. He doesn't go away with Argentina, and he can just stay and recover over that period, and he's back when the Premier League fixtures resume after the international break. Alisson seemingly is a bit longer, out until the following international break, from, I believe, what Slot said, which is a shame. But just, unfortunately, it's not surprising with him. He's had a number of injuries, and it's just a bit tough when he's so good. I think that's one of the things that makes it a bit harder, is the fact he's the best keeper in the world, undoubtedly. He's just so good, ball in his feet, shot stopping, everything, he has it. He's the best keeper I've ever seen. I'd comfortably say, I'd say that with the caveat of, I didn't necessarily watch a lot of the La Liga games and kind of Serie A games for your likes of Casillas and Buffon, so I didn't see them as much as I see Alisson. But from what I've seen, he is the best keeper I've ever seen. He's unreal. But yeah, I think it would just, rewatch the game. If you're a Liverpool fan and you feel like it was tense, rewatch it. You realize it wasn't as tense as it felt in the moment. When you're not sure of the result, you have those extra nerves over it. It was fine. One thing I think that did contribute to those nerves is the fact that the perception of a lot of missed chances in the game. I think Jota especially came under criticism for this coming out of the game. I've seen a lot of people saying Jota should have had a hat-trick. He was wasteful with it. The expected goals for the game, Liverpool, I believe it was 2.07, expected goals for the game. And I understand stats aren't everything, but I think this is a good barometer just to explain that players miss chances. It happens all the time. The number of times you hear coming out of any game, regardless of scoreline, you heard it when we beat Bournemouth 9-0 a couple of years ago, I think. It was just, oh, this player should have scored a hat-trick, or this player could have scored more, if we could have put this amount. It's just not how it works. Sports doesn't work that way. It's the nature of football. It just doesn't happen that way. Players will miss chances. There's so many variables that impact a player. It's not just what can seem. I think the biggest one actually will be the easiest to explain what I'm after is the cross that comes to Jota where he barely gets any touch and he's trying to side foot it as it comes in. It looks simple, and I would back Jota to more times than not score from that position. But the number of variables and things that Jota can't even really control is if that ball's coming in too fast for him to be able to get a proper touch on, the vision if there's a player blocking him, where he's trying to put it, if the keeper's blocking what's like a straight on firm contact, if he can only score by trying to get a bit of a faint touch on it, then that's going to impact it as well. Then you have where the defenders are placed. Like this is what I mean by there's so many variables. And then you just have human nature, and players will miss. It's how it works. There's a reason the top strikers and top goal scorers in the world always have really high shot numbers. It's because they constantly need to pretty much play the numbers game. If you take enough shots, you'll probably score. And that's typically how it works out. And so it's never just as simple as kind of give them one chance, they'll score it. In certain games that will happen, and that'll be the case. But for the most part, it takes a couple of chances or a few chances and they score. The biggest thing is just for fans, it's Liverpool won 1-0. Jota got the goal. That's what you're after. That's what you want. You'd back him more times than not to finish those chances. I don't think it's someone you can be concerned about the chances, him missing obvious chances, in the same way Liverpool fans do have concerns about Núñez, who's proven to not necessarily convert at the rate you'd want him to. I think this is just one of those games. You need to just leave it at that. I think fans get way too caught up on the should have scored more aspect of things and just forget that it's just not how sports work. Cricket players don't hit a six with every shot. Footballers don't score with every shot they take. Like baseballers don't hit a home run every at bat. Like it's just not how things work. It's in the NBA. You see it as well when you've got the best shooters in the best 3-point shooters in the league will shoot sub 50%. So they're missing more than half their shots that they take, but understanding the variables, that still works out pretty good. And so, yeah, I think it's just sometimes football fans in particular get a bit too caught up in those missed chances. And I think the biggest thing that Liverpool fans should be kind of focusing on, I think, at this point is just the signs of progression. If you had have said Liverpool were sitting on 12 or 14 points now, that's tied with the likes of Newcastle, Brighton, I think are on 12 points, and then Villa and Chelsea are on 14. If they were in that realm, I think Liverpool fans would still be pretty happy. You'd be wanting to be towards the top of the league and hopeful of that, but you'd be understanding it's a new manager coming in. How's the team going to adapt? How are they going to perform? And focusing on that. But so to know where that expectation was coming into the season and then just looking at where the side is now, the ability to win games, especially scrappy games, because although that game wasn't as nervy as I think it seemed, it was still a scrappy game towards the end. To win those games when you're still trying to learn a new system is incredibly impressive, really. It's just, there's so many things the players are trying to learn from Slot, unlearn from the way Klopp plays. The general things you have to think about in football as well, constantly going on. I think it just, to win in those situations is massive and massive signs of progression and shouldn't be taken lightly. And so regardless of how this season ends, I think it's important for fans to remember what the kind of acceptable season was coming into the season, or what an acceptable season was coming into this season. So I think for me, it was if you finish in the top four, regardless of how you do it, that's a good season. I think it would have been fair. You have a good squad, new manager coming in, not expecting title challenge, but fourth with signs of progression, take that. Even after this great start, if Liverpool finish fourth, that's still an acceptable season. It's not fair to change the goalposts on the season throughout it. To me, it constantly happens where teams will play, or teams will be expected to finish in a certain spot. They'll then start really well and tail off and end up right where people expect, and they'll go, and then everyone's like, oh, they failed because they shown they should have been higher. So, well, no, they ended where we thought they would. That's just how that was an acceptable season. How they got there is irrelevant. If you are expecting, for example, in say the NBA, if you're expecting a team to go 500 and win half their games, it doesn't matter if a team alternates wins every game. They win one, lose one, win one, lose one, back and forth. Or if they win the first 41 games, win their first 41, then lose their next 41. Either way, same result. That's the bar. I mean, how that then impacts things if they make the playoffs and things like that, that's fair enough to have that discussion then. But when you've got a league table just about where you finish, how you get there is irrelevant, and it's just about taking what you can from that side. So I think as fans, just focus on that side of things and remember that be excited and hopeful we can challenge for the title, and hope the team gives it a massive crack. And because I believe they can do it, and it's great to aim that high, but let's just make sure we're not changing the goalposts come, say, 36 games in, and we're then, say, we're 4 or 5 points back from Arsenal or Man City, and saying that we failed on the season. Let's just make sure we keep our heads on that, and then remember the season as a whole. So the downside to this game, I think I mentioned it earlier, the injury. So McAllister, I believe it was a groin injury. Not sure where what the time frame looks like for him. Hopefully it's not too bad. The big one was Alisson, because you just saw the moment he went down, he looked livid. And it was tough to tell if he knew it was a massive injury or if it was just a not this again. He's gone down repeatedly. He missed games earlier this season because of it. It just comes back up. He's expected to miss until the November international break as well. So it's disappointing, especially when you just know how good he is. He's so important to the side. I already said I think he's the best goalkeeper. He is the best goalkeeper I've ever seen for what he does. Everyone will have a different opinion on that, which is fair enough. But you can't deny he's so important to the team. And so to lose him for such an extended period of time is devastating. Thankfully, during the game, Yaros came in after Kelleher was ill and missed the matchday squad. Yaros came in and he actually looked, when he came on, he looked confident. You'd kind of expect a player come in. I think it's his debut. I don't really recall him ever playing for Liverpool prior, so I think it was his debut coming in to potentially look a bit nervy, but when he was standing there waiting to come on, he looked confident. He looked like he belonged. When he came in, he didn't have too much to do. He had the one-on-one save I mentioned earlier with Eze. He took it well, did what he needed. I mean, obviously, Palace fans would be hoping Eze does a bit better there. You would normally think he'd probably make the goalkeeper work a bit more. He did kind of just hit it straight at him, but it would have been very easy with all the nerves to let that one bounce off his chest and whatnot. He just, caught it, went down, took the time out of the clock, did what he needed to do. When he did get passes, he looked composed. I think he performed really well, and so to be third choice keeper, or now back up until Alisson's back, that's perfectly fine. I believe he actually was the keeper. Oh, it wasn't Salzburg. It was whichever team won the Austrian Bundesliga last season and the Austrian Cup. They did the double. He was actually the starting keeper for them. I was having a look at his stats earlier. I think he averaged like a 1 in 3 clean sheet ratio, which I'd say that's pretty good. Knowing nothing about the league, to be honest, that seems pretty good. He's got that experience of winning, so he'll be full of confidence coming out of that display and off last season. But Kelleher will be the big one who'll need to step up, and thankfully we know he can. This will be a big reason why Liverpool didn't get rid of him in the summer, even though it was very clear he wanted to leave. We know Alisson's just too injury prone. Unfortunately, it just is how it is. We need a good keeper to back him up. And we know Kelleher can do the job. He's done it repeatedly. He's proven he's good enough. He could be a starting keeper for a top half Premier League team. I have no doubt about it. I would take him over a lot of Premier League keepers. I think he's genuinely great. He's just unlucky to be back up to Alisson. And so to have him come in is excellent. It's reassuring to have the confidence in a backup keeper that he'll perform. Given it'll also probably be Kelleher's last season at Liverpool, I think it'll be nice for him to get that game time, really show his value and get him that big move he does deserve in the summer or in the Premier League summer transfer window for European time. Sorry, brain was fading because I was trying to work. I'm entering summer in Australia here, and referring to summer as June, July was throwing me out. But yeah, big move at the end of the season would have been an easier way to say it. And then Mamardashvili, the Valencia keeper who Liverpool bought in the offseason, will come in and compete with Alisson. I think that's the plan for now, but Kelleher come in, we know he can do it. I'm excited to see him as well get that bit of run of games. It's a tough run of games as well, I think, which is why it's good to at least have that have that confidence, I should say, in the keeper to perform. The game's coming thick and fast, and it's funny, you see online repeatedly everyone going, no one's talking about how Liverpool haven't played anyone. Yeah, no one other than our manager, repeatedly. Every chance he gets will bring up the fact that Liverpool haven't played anyone in the top half. The team's aware of it, manager's aware of it, everyone knows it. They're not pretending. We're not pretending we've beaten City, Arsenal, Chelsea away. Like, no one's acting like that. But when we get back from the international break, that's when those games do start coming, and that'll be the big test for Liverpool. I think it'll be great. Hopefully, I haven't checked the exact fixture list. I'm hoping at least it's not straight away after the international break. It'd be good to get at least 1 or 2 games under our belts before we get to those kinds of games. I know within the next period we've got Brighton twice, 1 in the Cup, 1 in the Premier League, but I'm sure Kelleher will be more than up for the job. It'll be great. As we get to the international break, hopefully everyone stays fit over the international break. That's the last thing we need right now, is any more injuries to the squad. So hopefully everyone just goes away, plays well, gets minutes in the legs for those who need it. The ones who play a lot already for us can just stay fit and healthy and come back ready to kick on in the next part of the season. But I couldn't go on the entire video without mentioning the man of Liverpool's season. I would say this way, he just seems to get man of the match awards for fun. Ryan Gravenberch is playing unreal. He was once again excellent. He's been an absolute revelation this season. Him and Arne Slot just seem to click. They probably have a pretty similar understanding of football, I would imagine. Being Dutch, I think they have that confidence, knowing Van Dijk would have the confidence as well with Gravenberch as well from the international side. And sometimes you see this as well. It could be to do with his understanding with Slot. The way Slot likes to play suits Gravenberch a bit more. Whereas I think it can also just be he's now a bit more accustomed to life at Liverpool, things like that. All the external things that go on. He had such a tough time at Bayern. It probably took him a bit to recover, and now just having that extra season under his belt, very few players can come in and just immediately hit the ground running. Fabinho came in and took 6 months before he kicked up into gear as well. So I think that can really, it just might have been the case with him. And so yeah, he's just been unreal. He'd be in the group for best midfielders this season in Europe. He'd have to be. He's been absolutely exceptional. He's been unreal. He's so exciting to watch. Just his pace and power, the technical ability. He's playing with so much confidence. I've seen the comparisons to Yaya Toure as well, which Yaya was, especially when he was at City, was scoring goals at a much higher rate. And so it's also very early. I understand it. We're what, 9 games in Premier League wise to the season, and I always believe, and a big believer in the fact there's a difference between form and like if someone's playing well and them actually being of that level as well. And I do think he is of the level he's showing. I think he'd proven it before joining Liverpool, like his time at Ajax and things like that. There was a reason he was so highly touted, but he does need to continue and prove it over the course of the full season. But it's exciting to watch, and I couldn't go this whole video without actually mentioning his name and bringing it up. But I think that'll do just for this match. I'll probably bring up, have another video talking about kind of the whole season so far, what we've kind of learned from Slot as well, with where things are at. But let me know in the comments below what you thought of this match, how you think Liverpool have gone so far in this season. If there's any other topics as well you want me to discuss, be sure to let me know in the comments below. Leave a like on the video. Don't forget to subscribe as well. You should be able to see my socials here as well, so be sure to go over to those, give me a follow. And yeah, subscribe as well for not just Liverpool content, but content coming on about the AFL, NBA as well. Season starts soon, so I have more content about that. NFL as well. I'm trying to be a bit more regular than I have been lately. I've had a few kind of personal stuff, or a bit of personal stuff going on. It's kind of meant it's been a bit hard to get the time to actually make these videos, but I think I've got a bit more of a routine down for now, so it should be coming out thick and fast for you guys. But I appreciate your time listening and watching, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.